state. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what could be the best platform than this historic Make in Odisha Conclave 2022 for launching the video that beautifully showcases the rich bioresources of Odisha, contributing to the significant growth of biotechnology in the state and the country as a whole. So for launching the video, I would request our Honorable Minister of Science and Technology of Odisha, Shri Ashok Pandaji, to launch the video. If we can play the video.
With its rich natural and bioresources, terrestrial and marine biodiversity, distinct agroclimatic zones, and long coastline, Odisha is strategically positioned to harness the wide spectrum of biotechnology sector. This blessed land of eastern India boasts of institutes of importance for education, research and innovation, while preparing skilled workforce and future leaders. Technology Business Incubators, or TBIs, are creating grounds for ideas and startups of global significance. Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik, Odisha delivers dynamic, industry-friendly policies, vibrant entrepreneurial culture, and a competitive startup ecosystem, propelling the state into a future biotech hub of the country. The incentives under Odisha Biotechnology Policy can be explored to nurture ideas into building world-class solutions from smart farming to health interventions. Odisha beckons with a world of opportunities for investors and stakeholders to partner in the Make in Odisha journey. Biotechnology sector is all set to herald a new chapter in the growth story.
I welcome all the stakeholders in the biotech sector and those enterprising leaders and also the investors to come forward and invest in Odisha, not only in biotech sector but in other related activities.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a proud and nostalgic moment for all of us. Let's celebrate this joy of innovation with again a big round of applause. Louder, please. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I would now like to request Honorable Minister of Science and Technology of Odisha to share his thoughts on this auspicious occasion.
We are not making any reference. At the outset, I welcome all the delegates, those are attending Make in Odisha third edition, not only in this hall, elsewhere inside the campus to the temple city, that the state of Odisha's capital. That is the unique feature of this city. And here with me on dais, Commissioner cum Secretary, Science Technology Department, Mr. Bhaskar Jyoti Sharma, JS Srimati Pooja Mishra, friends from media and also industries, and people, scientists, those are linked or connected with biotech sector in Odisha.
Initially, I was thinking to stick to this conventional speech. I'll just go for a paragraph, then I'll go ex tempo. As you know, see, the legendary statesman of this state, late Biju Patnaik, in his earlier years, in 60s as a minister, thought of, dreamt up, and in fact implemented. Whether it was Kalinga Airlines, whether it is the steel plant at Rourkela, whether it was Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL, or even in the education sector, the regional education REC here, and also the express highway connecting the hinterland of mines area of the state to Paradip port, which was his dream child, which was later on taken by the government of India. See, why did he do that? Because Odisha had a rich maritime glory, past maritime glory. That's the reason why, when he was chief minister again in 1995, he started a voyage symbolic to Bali Island, because Odishan merchants used to trade with the Southeast Asia. And that's the region where flourished. And Emperor Ashoka had an eye on the wealth and learned the Kalinga War. Of course, the war changed his heart. He became a follower of Buddha, Lord Buddha, and preached peace and non-violence from this land only. Anyway, I'm coming back to the purpose for which we are meeting here. Gentlemen, and those are attending from universities, academia, delegates from the industry, I once again welcome you. The state offers an industry-friendly ecosystem, I underline ecosystem, with single window approvals system for investors in biotechnology sector. The state also provides a vibrant startup ecosystem, particularly in agriculture and food processing. Here I will refer to later on. Health and pharma and molecular diagnostic, bioprocessing and marine biology. I won't hesitate to say here that we are one of the littoral states of India, which we have 480 kilometers of coastline. That is our precious resources. And the 2018 biotech policy focus on vibrant academic and entrepreneur culture, funding encompassing all stages of product development from ideation to commercialization. Third is industry academia linkage, which recently we have done something in this regard, and collaborative research also. Technology business incubators and technology transfer. Connected complementary industries, IP and law firms and vendors. Network of angel and venture capital firms. Enabling regulatory environment, self-certification and compliances, etc. World-class industrial facilitations. They particularly with government support, state government support, I'll just speak 2 lines. Madam, get me the coordinates. I don't like it. That one. It works. Here, I must say, I had an opportunity to visit Asia Biotech at Hyderabad. After I took over this department, earlier I served for 5 years as Minister of Tourism and Culture. There, I got an opportunity to listen to people, those are very much, very thickly associated with the biotech sector. And also there was a request from somebody to visit the Janam Valley. I visited. And in this regard, I will not mention here something, but we are in the process of the biotech, the park here in Andarwa. We are almost progressed at least 80% more or less in that regard. And I am happy that my visit to that place in Hyderabad Asia Biotech is resulting in reality. I am hopeful that. Similarly, I also say this particularly two institutes. Sapigen Biologics, they are the financer. I think they are investing more than 500 crores here. I hope this will be an opening up opportunity to many startups. This will set up the climate, a positive climate for in the biotech sector. I am happy that two institutes, Institute of Life Science and KIT, Dr. Swari is sitting here, Bhubaneswar Knowledge Cluster, we have provided 2 courses each to ILS as well as to BKIC to take further the development in the biotech sector and upgrading the knowledge base and environment also. Environment friendly towards the biotech sector. We have not ignored the leading universities of the state. We have also tied up with them, be it Odisha University of Agriculture Technology or Utkal University, other universities also. We have done that. We are also providing them the opportunity. So, as department, keeping in tune with the 2018 biotech policy, we are always have a positive approach to ensure that this smart city at least opens a vibrant page in the biotech sector. We are famous for as Temple City. We are famous because of our Chief Minister, Shri Naveen Patnaik. Is a visionary. Whatever Biju Babu saw in 60s, Naveen Babu has gone many steps ahead. Many steps ahead. You see, apart from the socio-economic sector, whether it is health security system, or it is food security, or it's social security, the other department which I am adding, it has his concern. He has the concern for the women, upgrading their knowledge base, also economic livelihood, which is more important. And this biotech sector has an answer to their problems also. The millet mission, almost all of you might have heard it. So, CM is always dynamic, and particularly in the biotech sector, he has given us full support. And I am sure, as and when there will be the offer, there will be the institutions come up, the new startups come up, will not fail. We'll definitely extend our hand, extend our support to the future startups in this state. My department will not hesitate, will definitely, if you're asking for 100%, will provide you 200%. That is the approach. I must say something. Madam was saying something about the biodiversity. See, we have 480 kilometers of coastlines. You have heard of Kalinga Sanctuary, the mangrove forest. So also Simlipal, biodiversity. So also Asia's largest brackish water lake, Chilka. and Mandagiri, we have so many natural resources and agroclimatic region. Despite the fact that climatic variations, we have the opportunity for particularly in the food processing, in floriculture, think about the Kandamal haldi, turmeric, and similarly, other sectors, particularly marine food processing, we have lot of opportunity there. And I have seen in Chatikana, well, in the tribal dominated Raigada also. Long time back, some effort was made in the food processing there. But today, the sector is wide apart. Here in coastal Odisha, northern Odisha, even in western Odisha, we have a lot of opportunity here. And I am sure the marine biodiversity and all this will give a push to the biotech and climate to move ahead. So I will say something. See, we are identified this. It's a thrust sector in industrial policy of 2022. So at least the investment facilities, land at concessional rates, and all other thrust sector incentives. All eligible biotechnology units can avail a particular incentive either under biotechnology policy or IPR policy or MSME policy or startup policy or any other state policy. It's a third sector. I emphasize on this. So I'm happy that I have seen the 2018 Make in Odisha Conclave. At that time, my mandate was different. It was tourism, culture. But today's attendance, what I'm noticing it, at that time it was less. The attendance is really encouraging. Really encouraging. I could see on the face of you people that you have all come forward, joined hands to see ensure Odisha not only the land of art and culture, also a land which will be a leader in the industrial scenario and also a leader in the particular the biotech sector, because our Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik only believes in doing the work for the welfare of everybody. As everybody knows what is there in the Sanskrit verse, Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya. Is the welfare of all, quite a good number of people, larger people. So he believes in that. And we too also, under his leadership, this department also believes in that. And I am hope that this conclave will provide opportunities, encourage you, and you will remain as wherever you are in India, whatever you do, you will always carry our good wishes, and also you will be our ambassador. You will be serving our cause. Thank you. Bande Utkal Jana.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the vision of the state, that is harnessing biotechnology to tackle the grand challenges. We, as citizens of the state, feel very proud and confident that Odisha always holds the door open to welcome innovations and to grow into business. And as you said, take 200% by putting 100% of efforts, dedication, and perseverance. Yes, I think we all agree with you, sir, that the last 5 years have been very progressive. We all are hopeful that the coming years will be as promising, as productive, with the support of government and all stakeholders. Now, Odisha has always strived to strengthen the industry-academia interaction, and to further strengthen this partnership, it's my pleasure to announce a series of MOUs that are being signed today in this historic event, Make in Odisha Conclave 2022. We will now exchange MOU between Science and Technology Department, Odisha, and Sapigen Biologics. May I now request the leadership of both the organizations to exchange the MOU and capture the moment.
Once more, but they're saying again.
Let's welcome once again our dignitaries on the dais with a big round of applause. The clap should go on. This marks a long-term partnership. So yes, exchange of MOU between Science and Technology Department, Odisha, and Sapigen Biogenics. We have now the second MOU, Huel Life Science, MOU between Huel Life Science, Dr. Shishir Kumar ji, please come and exchange the MOU. The clap should go on. I think we all had a sumptuous meal. So let's together, a big round of applause. We'll now exchange MOU with Korchini, Mr. Chandrakant Sheth ji, to please come on the floor and exchange the MOU. Industry-academia interaction is certainly important, and we are hopeful that this marks a new beginning. We'll now exchange MOU with Association of Biotechnology-led Enterprise, ABLE. Mr. Krishnan ji, please come and ink the MOU. Lastly, we'll now exchange MOU with the Global Network of Entrepreneurs and Professionals for Odisha, NIPO, Dr. Ajay Kumar Mahanti. Please, let's start this new beginning with the signing of MOU. With a vision of NIPO to support the startups of Odisha, provide them hand-holding, and with a vision to make local to global. Thank you all for gracing the occasion and supporting the growth of biotechnology in the state. We are very sure that this collaboration would provide the right ingredients for homegrown based startups to go global from local. Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely not the end. It's time for now for two engaging panel discussions. I just request everybody to stay back. There are two panel discussions that are coming up on very two important sectors of biotechnology. We have a plethora of panelists from academia, from industry, from startups. I just request all ladies and gentlemen to be here. We'll start the session in a couple of minutes. So now, moving forward, the first discussion is focused on biopharma, and we have a very eclectic panel. As I said earlier, we have experts from industry as well as women entrepreneurs who have strongly carved their niche in the global biotech innovation space. So I would request first Dr. Murali, President, Council of President Able and Chairman of Global Jubilee Biotech Park, to come on the dais. Kindly take your seat. A big round of applause for Dr. Murali.
Very good afternoon to everyone here. So I'm just going to continue from where the previous panel and also the speakers, the minister and the others who spoke before me. India is in a beautiful stage in its growth and the way it is shaping up. I'll call you, don't worry, come. In the way it is shaping up. One of the things that we will have to remember is that when we started our journey with the mobile telephony, the whole world had actually done the analog part of it. And we were late to the party. And it is only after a lot of efforts that we were able to bring in the GSM standards, the digital standards. And today, if you see, we are one of the world leaders moving into 5G and possibly into 6G in some part of the world. And remember, all these things have emerged with our efforts. A lot of it has been indigenized and it has not been taken out from anybody else. So that is something that we have to remember, number one. Number two, when we started the digital revolution in terms of how transactions can be done, every one of us were very skeptical whether India will ever reach that stage. But if you see today, even the smallest vendor on the road has a barcode which you can scan and pay. Again, the ability of India to show the way to the world that how digital can be done. I have been to many countries, I have not seen anything as digital as what we have done. So what is the essence or the moral of the story is, India is planning to be a $5 trillion economy. And they have set the targets very ambitiously. It could be a stretched goal, but the point is it has got some substance in terms of rushing to that, because the size and the global power that we are going to wield are going to be very closely interconnected. You can't separate them out. In this $5 trillion economy is where the bioeconomy is going to find a place. And this has been estimated to be around 300 billion when we touch that mark. So there is an incremental growth story that has to be built along with the national aspirations of the $5 trillion economy. So this is the landscape of what you are going to be hearing from the remaining part of the panel. So the most important thing that we have to remember is each and every state will be vying for a position in terms of that $5 trillion economy and in the 300 billion economy that the bioeconomy is going to be doing. And Odisha is going to be no different. The reason why I gave you those 2 points in the beginning, that we started late, we caught up, and we emerged as the front runner, is the India story, which can very well be something that can happen to Odisha as well. There have been front runners in the other states so far as biotechnology is concerned. Even the minister alluded to the Genome Valley in Hyderabad, and a replica that is going to be done here, if not even better. So this state has come to the party a bit late in terms of the biotech emergence. However, from what we have heard from the secretary, the joint secretary and the minister, it looks very good and very enterprising that this state has got a great future in terms of how it is going to build towards being one of the major contributors to the bioeconomy that I outlined here. So today I have 4 esteemed panelists here. I will allow each one of them to introduce themselves for a minute. And then I will be posing 2 questions to them, which has got relevance to this state and what should be done. And then we will open it up for the audience also. If there is some questions to be asked, please do not hesitate to ask us. We want to make it as interactive as possible. Before I hand it over to them, I would like to recognize the presidents of ABLE here, Narayanan and Krishnan here. Also from the Department of Biotechnology and BIRAC, we have Manish here. So thanks for all of you making it to this wonderful event. And ABLE will be playing, sir, a very, very significant role in terms of showcasing this state to the rest of the world. And be assured that the presence of 3 out of the 5 past presidents here should tell you that we are very serious about what we want to do. So we are definitely going to give the best there. So starting from left to right, please pick up your mic and introduce yourselves. And after you finish, let me ask you the questions.
Sure. Thank you, Murli. So I'm Anu Acharya. I'm the founder and CEO of Map My Genome. Before that, I also ran a company called Ossimum Biosolutions, where we had a global presence in Germany, Netherlands, and in the US. While I've been in the genomics field for over 22 years, my background was in, I went to IIT Kharagpur, and that's how and then to the US. And when the Human Genome Project was just getting completed, I thought there was an opportunity to be able to do something that was, be able to actually read our own software rather than work on something that would be a software services or something like that. So I think that's where my journey began. And when we started the first company and I made it into something that was global and was one of the largest in its space, I felt there was a need to actually create something that was going to be able to drive precision medicine for the Indian population. And at that point, I think almost 10 years ago now, there wasn't that much that we had at that point. And so we said we'll start with something that can start with consumer, where consumers will be able to create something and order online and get that report. But over the last few years, we've been able to move more towards the clinical space, but also add other data points, whether it's pathology, data, and others. And using machine learning, we are able to combine all of that to come up with a health score. So I think in many ways, to be able to start off with where we came from, which is from an engineering background, back to connecting the dots and trying to create something that can be a blueprint to be able to go to the next level.
Thank you, Anu. Sir.
Hi, my name is Amulya Panda. I worked in National Institute of Immunology for 32 years and I retired last year. Currently, I am with Panacea Biotech and I am a chemical engineer by training, but did research on immunology for 30 years. And mostly my area of expertise in fermentation and large-scale manufacturing. What we do now at Panacea is make vaccines. For many of you who may not be knowing what Panacea Biotech is, Panacea Biotech make vaccine for last 32 years. You must have heard polio eradication program of the country. We are partly responsible for that. We supplied 10 billion doses of vaccine all over the world, including to India. So currently, we are trying to make all pediatric vaccines, and my domain area is mostly biopharma vaccines, adjuvant and delivery. I'll be able to speak many things after that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Hello, everyone. I am Nusrat Sangamitra, founder and CEO of Cygenica. It's a early stage biotech company. My background is I did studied my master's here from Utkal University, then went on to did my PhD from Indian Institute of Science and several years of postdoc. And then I formed Cygenica based on one of my invention in which we are we have developed a new mechanism of delivering cancer drugs or any genetic medicines right to the target site. We are currently focusing on glioblastoma and HER2-positive gastric and breast cancer. And our animal studies have just started, so we have just started, you can say. We have another 3 years at least to go for first in human trials. So yeah, that's where we are at. We started as a one person with a JRF from KIT TBI, thanks to Dr. Mrityunjay Suar here. And now we are a 8-member team across India and Ireland. Yeah, that's where we are at. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Shishir. I head a company called Huvel Life Sciences in Hyderabad, along with my wife. The typical story of any entrepreneur, we started from PhD days and started with scratch, bootstrapped, sold house, went into making the company called RAS Life Sciences in 2008 and subsequently exited in 2012 to the tune of 60% and 100% in 2017. We sold that company to Biomerio, a French company, and subsequent started Huvel Life Sciences. Huvel is human welfare, so I wanted to clarify it every time because again, everybody thinks about China, Korea, Japan and all. So we are into molecular diagnostics. We make end-to-end, right from plastics to complete reagents of molecular biology. Thanks to the COVID, we were popular in COVID. We sold around 4.3 crores of tests across country, and we were the lowest in the country. And we still could make some profits. So objective is for everyone is to take home point is anybody can start, those who have intent to do good, so they can make a difference at times. So this is what.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to set the stage here, and hopefully we have a very, very interesting panel for the next few minutes. So one of the videos that was prepared, and also the secretary and the minister alluded to, is that there is a fantastic natural wealth here, and there is also water. As you all know that the tendency for future wars and future way in which civilization is going to grow will depend on how exactly your water resources is and how your water is going to be used. So there is such an abundance in the state. And so obviously any technology that is going to be interwoven with this usage of some of the natural resources is going to grow to the next stage. So I'll start from the extreme left. So Odisha has decided today that it wants to take up a global leadership position and also be one of the leaders in the state in terms of how they can lead the bioeconomy and also have a great footprint in the world stage. If you were to be the policy maker, the thought leader, in terms of telling us what are the quick, easy, low-hanging fruits that we should be aspiring as a state, and what are the long-term things that we should be doing. Forget about the policies, because many times industries come, everything happens, and then the policy is written. So a policy is never written to get people in, because it seldom works there. So what would be your wish list? How would you like to articulate the growth path for the next, let's say, 10 to 15 years from your area, because that is your expertise? And how can that be done here?
Yeah, I think in all sectors of biotechnology, I would take diagnostics as a low-hanging. And it's a platform technology, as I was just discussing. It can be applied to agriculture, it can be applied to aquaculture, and it was marine. So I would say that now south, you say Ahmedabad or Hyderabad, and Bangalore, you term it as pharma or biopharma capital. So this part can be a diagnostic capital. So probably making molecular or any of the protein-based diagnostic, immunodiagnostics, which is applicable in general. I'm not saying as only healthcare side, can also be in marine, can also be in aquaculture, and all the wealth, what probably agri side or making more the flora and fauna, more rarely available medicinal plants, put all together, put a database and make that as more commercial element.
And what do you think should be the long-term plans?
Long-term plans probably build up, get more big industries to this side. I think you are the right guy to get all Bangalore-based companies to Bhubaneswar. And I can try from my side to get some companies, because at least they would create manpower what you want. Because industries can create the required manpower, which is a need, because only institutions, training in institutions gives certain perspective, but we need more trained manpower. For that, we need more industries to come out. And for that, we need to attract more industries, as rightly said by Minister and Secretary, to give more incentives and build spaces, as I said, plug and play facilities, those who can have second venture here and put their second shop in Bhubaneswar. So that would be easier.
Thank you. So, Nasrat, the question that I'm going to be asking, before that, I would just like to tell the audience that the most sought after tool and the founder of the tool has also a Nobel Prize, is the way you can use CRISPR for editing. So one part of the gene editing set of people are in this panel. The other set of gene editing people are in the other panel where Narayanan is there. He will also be talking about that to you. All over the world, there are companies after companies formed with one or the other applications of using a gene editing tool for getting something there, be it for diagnostic, be it for therapeutics, be it used for solving a problem, be it cancer, and so on and so forth. Now, just imagine you are going to start something from here where not much has been heard in that area. And you are a person who has to now seek a lot of global attention, both for funding as well as for M&A type of activities. So from your point of view, what do you think that if, let's say, 50 CRISPR companies has to grow in Odisha, what would be that little messaging that you would like to tell the people here, which makes them come here very quickly and start putting up in that park at least 10 or 20 of the gene editing companies?
So as you said rightly, I will, before that you had asked about the low hanging and the end goal type of or high risk thing. So he has spoken about, Sushir has spoken about low hanging, but I'm a big fan of or very passionate about innovative drug coming out from here, from India, and think about Odisha. So as you said, for CRISPR, the whole world has so many different startups, and if we want, we are working on a delivery system for CRISPR, because if the CRISPR can't go to the right target site, then it's not of any use. So we are trying to solve that crucial issue. And if we have to solve those kind of very innovative and crucial healthcare problems or innovative drug components, we need to build the foundation very strong. The biotech park, which is coming up in Andharwa, I hope that that gets executed very well. And we have all those high-end facilities which is needed to build those molecules right from scratch. I started from scratch from Bhubaneswar, but I had to move out because I needed a whole range of equipments under the same roof, day in and day out. So those kind of facilities we have to prepare. That is the foundation to start with. And then, of course, the funding requirement is unlimited. It requires a hell lot of money, but we can facilitate. There are funds available. I definitely believe there are funds, but we need to facilitate and create the right kind of environment and give them that confidence that the money won't come to us in very soon. It takes at least 8 to 9 years, you can say. I'm already in my 5th year, and we have done a lot, but still we are in the animal trial level. So I still have 3 more years to go to the first in human trial if everything goes well. So yeah, the foundation, basic and high-end infrastructure under the same roof, and then the funding facilitation. And of course, the mentorship doesn't go anywhere. That's important.
So are you aware how many CRISPR companies are in India? You will be quite surprised. There are quite a lot of it.
Yeah.
I myself was quite surprised,
Yeah,
to know the number.
Yes.
So it is obvious that I mean, whether you say it's a low-hanging or a medium-term type of work, but there are possibilities that you can straight away start a number of CRISPR companies out of this place. And so even if there is a grand challenge that can be thrown by the Odisha government to say, use CRISPR, try to solve 10 problems, we have to remember one thing, we don't have to always only look at the bioeconomy part. That's also there. Maybe we need to end some disease. Maybe we need to treat something, and we need something there. So we can also look at some of those aspects here.
Sure.
So I think we should also keep that in mind. Can we throw up a grand challenge or some sorts?
Sure, starting is not a problem, I guess. Then sustaining it and
Correct.
doing the things, that is important.
Correct, yeah. So I also want to tell the secretary and the joint secretary here, in the month of June, There is going to, I mean, there is normally a bio that happens every year. A lot of us are veterans in that. We have gone there many, many times. This year also there is going to be one. Hopefully, we are going to have Dr. Manish and his department also coming in. Abel is going to lead that. That may be one of the platforms for showcasing Odisha, because normally all the states come there to showcase themselves in Boston. So companies that have been already incubated, people who need funding, companies which needs M&A, all of them can be showcased there. So you may like to have that in mind. That's the global stage for the pharma companies to know us. And that gives you also an opportunity to talk to the different people there to see whether you can attract some investment here. So just one part there. Pandaji, for the records, a lot of youngsters are watching. So your experience is my age. I just want to set the record straight. And since you are from this part of the world, let's forget about all the past. I'm sure you must have articulated quite a number of times the things that should have been done. Like I have done in one state where I come from. I don't want to name the state. I'm worried whether there's any press people here. I have also done the same thing, banged my head many times, blood oozing out, nothing has happened. So there are certain times that those things happen. But going forward, what is that we have missed that we need to quickly catch up with and run? And what are those things that you would articulate to this? Because you have now a dynamic minister, a dynamic secretary, and a department. So what is that they should do, putting aside all the past?
Thank you. I think, anyway, thanks for inviting me. But let me tell you, before we understand what the pharma policy of this government of India or government of Odisha, we must understand what will be the requirement in 2050. Please remember how we have treated the pharma last 100 years. I'll just give one example. 1920s, we have sulfur drug, doesn't work. Then came antibiotic, doesn't work anymore. Then come biologics, antibody, doesn't work. See, if you remember, carefully analyze all these pharma products, whether it is a sulfur drug or an antibiotic or a biologics or a monoclonal antibody, they worked on one single principle: kill the bug, kill the pathogen. And during the COVID, we have learned killing pathogen doesn't help anymore. You have to heal the body. That is important. I think the paradigm of health treatment in next 20, 30 years is changing, rather than killing the bug, than healing the body. I think our pharma policy should be aiming at how can we heal the body using the sources. And during the pandemic, you have all realized we have taken all steroids, remdesivir, nothing worked except if your immunity is strong. So I believe for a future pharma, it will be the immunotherapeutics. When I say immunotherapeutics, it is vaccines, monoclonal antibody, maybe checkpoint inhibitors, but more importantly, the adjuvants. Adjuvants which are only used for vaccine, not adjuvants. Nowadays, people are using adjuvants for enhancing the potency of drug, enhancing the potency of anti-cancer drug. I think in those areas, vaccines and immunotherapeutics, Odisha can really take a real good step, much ahead of any other place in the country because of our geographical situation. Remember, for all pharma, the most important requirement is water. You make urea or any organics, it is 100%. You make any biological fermenter, it is 1 to 2%. Like if you are making 1% insulin, 99% is water. In other way, all biopharma manufacturing is very, very water intensive. And fortunately, we have water. But what I suggest for our state, I mean, these are the area like manufacturing vaccines, immunoadjuvants, or maybe natural product from sea will be the targeted, because these are our strength. And when it comes to vaccine, I know Bharat Biotech is setting up a plant here. That's a good beginning. They are making world's first malaria vaccine. I don't know, many of you know it or not. But what is important for us is to make veterinary vaccine. These are our animals, are ours. We can make veterinary vaccine very easily. Remember, these vaccines has to be made cheap. because to give poultry or to animals. So one area which you can do is veterinary vaccines. The number two is making immunoadjuvants from our natural source. I don't know how many of you know, there is a place called Gandhmardan. It is told in mythology when Hanumanji was taking the plants from Himalaya, one portion fell down in Gandhmardan. Until now, 50,000 quacks live in Gandhmardan area selling different immunoadjuvants. All you need is a scientific way of characterizing those adjuvant and using for therapy will be best in the world. And apart from immunoadjuvant, the other point I like to do is, as Minister said, and Dr. Murli also said, we have a huge sea coast. Nowadays, if you see, most of the pharma companies are looking for metabolites, drugs from sea organism. Forget about bacteria or fungus. People are growing sponge, porifera, coelenterata, all sea animals, and they are wonderful source of antibiotics things. I think if we restrict ourselves to our sea, our natural habitat for making adjuvants and maybe vaccines, it will be quite good to start because that is our unique specialty. And with all infrastructure, we have surplus electricity and water that is required for large scale manufacturing. We can have a good beginning in this area, and I'm sure this area no other state can do. We can do, and we can lead, and maybe we can deliver. Thank you.
Well said, sir. Very well said. Very well said. So, for the secretary and the joint secretary, by three of the panelists have already given you the three areas that we are actually looking in the pharma space, and also in terms of how we can use the natural resources for doing two things: one for the wellness part, as well as one for the mining part, where we can make new molecules or NCEs, as the case may be, that can come up. So it's a beautiful segue. Now we are coming into the next panelist, who is into a lot of very, very interesting aspects, including preventive medicine. The goal for any country will be to ensure that the cost of treatment, the cost of medical, how much the primary health care can stretch, how much can really the insurance companies take the load, and if there's no insurance, how much can the state actually take the load, etc. A lot of it is dependent on data and how valuable the data is, how authentic the data is, how can the data be used by the physicians, how can the person use the data, how can that be connected to a wearable, how can it be connected to a smartness in the world, are all the things that is going to happen in the future. And fortunately, India is digitally so beautifully set that there is no problem in terms of how this data goes back and forth between the end user and the person who creates it. So Anu, one question to you, this is again only Odisha dependent, is that if you have to come here, I think a lot of people like her. Is there anybody who doesn't like her? Okay, so a lot of people like you, so they just want to see that you are here. You read the one, this one is matching with the Odisha theme. So they are very particular that you should be here. If so, what is that you would like to do? What is your wish list? And how would you like to come here?
Sure. Thanks, Murli. So one of the things is with my last name, I think I fit into Odisha quite well, even though I'm from Rajasthan. So I think there are 2-3 things, and I thought about, like, one is that there are 3-4 eyes that first get anybody into the door, right? Whether it is the infrastructure that is there in the, in the whole state. And I think there is quite a lot of good infrastructure, which includes things like your research institution, your other regular infrastructure, whether it's in terms of buildings, and equipment, and so on. The second thing that is important is existing industry that can sort of facilitate that. So you have sort of supplementary industry. So for instance, in our case, because you're in the genomic space, maybe something like hospitals, wellness centers, research institutions, those would be the right kind of industry that we would like to be looking at. The third would be, not for us, but the incubators are what gets a lot of people started. So these are the few eyes that will get people into the state. But I think we want to go beyond that, which is to say that how do we get from the initial incubation startup stage to building something that can be long term? So I think there I looked at 3 P's that are there. The most important being people. I think getting the right kind of people who are interested in solving like your grand challenges that you mentioned or anything else that you're looking at. If you're looking at the future, you said we want to look at living to 150 years, or you're looking at building something that can be a medical device that can alarm you about certain conditions or anything else. So you need people who can think. The second thing is you want to make sure that there is a platform to be able to connect all of the people together as well as the resources and the problems that are there to solve. But another important thing, and I think, for instance, when you look at what over the last 22 years, when I look at Telangana and where I am currently, I think the positioning is also very important, right? How do you position it in terms of saying, can you create the right kind of positioning for the state? And can you take something that is a futuristic, or do you take something that is a natural resource and focus on that? That will be one thing. But I think when you put all of these pieces together, the one thing that truly stands out for anybody would be combining these 2 pieces together, I and P, which is basically IP. So how do you create IP is the most important. And I think creation of IP will come from 3 things. I think I went on an alphabet spree. So 3 things, 3 Fs. And I think the first is most important, funding. Without funding, I think biotech is almost impossible. The second is focus. If you create the right kind of focus, saying we want, or the state of Orissa to allow us to live 250 years, for instance, then I'm just making that up, but something like that. Create a focus, allow us, all of us, to solve problems in that space. And finally, it is to be able to function and see what happens with the fruition of that. So I think these are some of the things that are required. If I have to come in, I think some of these pieces will be.
That's wonderful. So as I promised, just 2 questions from the audience, if there is any. Otherwise, I'm going to ask all of them to give a 30 seconds closing comment, and the panel will come to a close. I know you can meet all of them offline here for a discussion, but if there are any questions from there, please do ask us. Do you want any? Yeah, please. Just 2 people. Come here, please, so that you can use the mic. Come. Just 2. Yeah.
Hello.
Just only two people, right? Rest will do it later. Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, panel members. My question is, like, in current scenario, the antimicrobial resistance is like a big issue. The sensitivity of the drugs are reducing over the years against the pathogen. So as a pharmaceutical industry, like, what is your current concern, and what are the measures or preventive measures you people are taking for the sorry. Hello. Am I audible?
No. You are audible. What is? Please
Yes,
just
sir,
tell
yes,
us what
sir.
exactly your question.
Actually, in current scenario, the antimicrobial resistance is like reducing, like it's the sensitivity of the drug reducing drastically. So, as a pharmaceutical industry, what is like your concern, like in future days, like the sensitivity will increase or something, or finding new novel molecule like that. So, what is your concern about that, like in against antimicrobial resistance?
See, I can give you an answer for 2 things, and then I'll ask Panda sir to give. See, first and foremost thing is, even if you take the case of, let's take what we know best. India today has a lot of biosimilars coming. That's what we believe, right? That's what we believe. Now, there is a good and bad part to that. If we really look very closely into it, there are only 2 companies I would even think of which has a pipeline for the next 10 years. Now, what does that mean is that those are the 2 companies which will be dominant even for the next 10 years. So even if you start today, I start today, they will still be the dominant company for the next 10 years. So which means the most important thing that we should have looked at all the time was to have a very close look at our pipeline. That is something in the area that we should be looking at. As far as NCE is concerned, the culture of we doing reverse pharmacology, doing chemistry, doing those things have been one of the major areas, right? So we are doing about $22 billion today, and we are the largest. So maybe that is an incentive for people to just stay there in a comfort zone and not go further to invest. But Panda Sahab, you have any other point on that?
No, I think you asked about how to handle AMR.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like as a pharmaceutical perspective.
I'll ask you a question. You answer that, you will get the answer. Suppose doctor told you you have diabetes. Will you eat rasgulla 10 every day?
No, no, obviously.
So if you have AMR, the first thing is stop using antibiotics. Why are you using antibiotics?
Very good. Excellent.
No,
Excellent.
no, let me tell you again. If you see the antibiotic structure every time, you see streptomycin, penicillin, gentamicin, every time you produce an antibiotic, it's a chiral molecule. One biological active isomer comes, the 50% is dumped to the, God knows where it goes in this country. And because of that, even if you see, look at the milk powder, the cow milks, you have antibiotic traces. Go to the state who makes antibiotics. The soil, the water, everywhere antibiotics.
Correct.
Obviously, you will develop resistance. So one is finding a solution to the AMR, which people are doing. But I believe the first case is stop using, don't stop, like stop indiscriminate use of antibiotics unless it is needed. That is the only way.
Yeah. Next question.
Thank you.
Quickly, please.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
I have two questions. One I would like to ask Anu, and the second question would be for maybe Mr. Panda and Nusrat maybe. Anu, this is Santosh Mishra here. I hope you remember me, right? We met in 2003, 4 maybe before you started your Oximum, and so my question is, I've been outside the country for about 40 years now, especially working in biotechnology. Right now, I'm interested in coming back to Orissa. And I'm trying to see if I can start some enterprise here. What would be the 3 biggest challenge that you would foresee and help me, advise me to take care of even before starting anything?
I think most important, make sure that, the problem, since you already know the problem, that is the most important thing. The second thing would be to make sure that you should function, you should also factor in the fact that it might fail. So you should make sure that there is enough funding available to allow it to fail. That would be another thing that would be there. And the third thing would be to make sure that there is enough of a team and the capability of being able to handle that. So I think those would be the first most important thing. But getting the right team, getting that, all of that will be coming later. But
so it's the people and the funding. Those are the 2 main issues. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm now. Thanks for the answer. I appreciate that. My second question is, you are talking about immunotherapeutics and checkpoint inhibitors, and she was talking about vaccination and all. What's India's position on CAR T cells, and how are you developing the CAR T cells, if any? And again, are you using CRISPR and Cas just for editing or for enhancing the proteins also?
Yeah.
DBT has a very extended program on CAR-T. Already 3 companies, as I know, there are 3 in Delhi, 3 in Bangalore. There is Immunal of Biocon, and there is, I think, in Bangalore, there is one more room. There are 5-6 companies that are already in the advanced stage of CAR-T. As you remember, the real challenge is to get the lentiviral vector and the equipment. So people are struggling now to make their own vector and make CAR-T. But more than CAR-T, I think it is very, very heartening to know in India also people have start making CAR-NK and CAR macrophages, because CAR-T has started showing resistance in USA. So many people are now saying CAR-T alone doesn't work. So more than CAR-T,
right.
Even in India now, there are companies who are now venturing into CAR-NK and CAR macrophage. I know this is a costly thing. This will take time, but we can make it. Remember when hepatitis B came to this country, GSK was selling in 1200 rupees. Then came Santa Biotech, and today it is 12 rupees with international quality. So we can make it over a period of time. Time and again, we have already shown we made corona vaccine, whatever it may be. We made hepatitis B. We are making biosimilar. It takes time. We have to compete with giants, but I think time will come, and we are already in the path.
Thank you. The other two panelists, your closing comments? You both?
Yeah, so as you said, CRISPR-based, it's not just for editing. I mean, you can edit it to knock it down. I mean, and then you can enhance as well. Both possibilities are there. And CAR-T, I think in Bangalore, they have already like that. They are able to treat patients with. They brought the cost down. It was very expensive in the beginning. I think Majindar and they have a company, they have brought the cost down and the therapy has started. About the CAR-T in Bangalore, there is a company in Bangalore. Yeah.
Immunil is the company which
Yeah,
is doing
I would answer the first one anyway. Karti, enough been answered. So challenges are there always. There's no 1, 2, 3. Let us see that there is a whole list of challenges. You go on facing those challenges. So once 3 challenges, why you face is to get used to those challenges, because entrepreneur is bound to get multiple challenges. You should be ready for challenges before jumping in. So without second thought about it. And these 3 are common everywhere across the world, right? It's not only in India. People funding raising is always an issue. And you have to prepare yourself for those. And I think thanks to BIRAC and institutions like outreach centers, incubation centers, they provide adequate platform now. Startups are flourishing because of these sort of agencies.
Thank you very much, all the panelists. Please give them a big hand. And thank you, Secretary and Joint Secretary, for giving us this opportunity. And we'll keep the engagement going there. No more questions, madam. Sorry. We are run very sadly out of time. You can always engage them after this. Thank you very much.
A lot of discussions over high tea. Thank you so much, Dr. Murli, for wonderfully moderating this session. Thanks to all the panel members for their unadulterated thoughts. I think a lot of challenges, but at the same time, the wish list is long, as Anu mentioned. And I believe where there's a hope, there's a desire, there is a way out. And the momentum that has been built, I think, should not be lost. So now quickly moving forward, we have another interesting roundtable discussion on the other important biotechnology sectors that contributes largely to the India's bioeconomy, and that is agriculture and industrial biotechnology. I invite the panelists to the dais, Dr. Manish Nivan, who is the head Strategic Partnership and Entrepreneurship Development of BIRAC, New Delhi. Let's welcome in a big round of applause. Dr. K.K. Narayanan, founder of Kotaram Agro Foods Private Limited, Bangalore. Mr. G.S. Krishnan, President of ABLE, Bangalore. Mr. Krishna Prasad, Shilpa Biologics, to come on stage, and Dr. Mrityunjay Swar, Chairman of BCKIC and CEO of KTBI. I request now, because of paucity of time, Dr. Swar, if you can take over and moderate the session.
Thank you. Very good evening to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great afternoon today. You see the positive vibe. Minister, Secretary, Joint Secretary, everybody's talking biotech, biotech, biotech. So I'm a great admirer of this whole platform today, and esteemed speaker today, the panelist member, 4 of them now assembled here. So this special session is on agriculture and industrial biotech. If we have to really continue bioeconomy, we have to focus on agriculture and industrial biotech, which is, of course, doing good, but we can really do great. And for that, we have been creating larger biomass or larger pool of startup companies. But the discussion is where they'll go next. If you have to make them big companies, you have to invest on them. You have to provide them all supports. So I thought this team the panel is going to give you a lot of wisdom. They have done a lot of good work earlier. I know Mr. G.S. Krishnan, who now the president of ABLE, has promoted several MNCs, the global companies, nurturing a lot of companies in Bangalore. Why not in Bhubaneswar? So he's going to talk about Bangalore-Bhubaneswar connectivity program. And all these 4 members have good intention to support, promote, and nurture biotech economy or biotech ecosystem in Odisha. And I'll not take much of time because you're running late, because I am from Odisha. All of you know me, what I do, what we have been doing. but let us hear from them what their roles are going to be clear in due course of time. So Mr. G.S. Krishnan, all of you know the patient Abel, and next to him, Dr. Manish Diwan, who heads the SPADE BIRAC. And ladies and gentlemen, for your information, BIRAC has supported more than 50 startup companies of biotech in Odisha, and each one of them 50 lakhs of rupees. So he's a fund giver. We have all kind of people on the panel, the fund giver, the promoter, the mentors, the investors, everybody here. Now, next to him, I have Dr. K.K. Narayan. All of you know it not. Many of things you get, a lot of things, what do you call, the quality food package, the materials. He'll talk more about it. You get in the big basket or in the, what do you call, the big bazaar, his products you get. He's built companies, sold company to bigger ones, and today also he is now founder of Kotaram Agro Food. He'll talk about more of his impression, how to promote biotech in the sector of agriculture and industrial biotech in state of Odisha. And next to him, we have Krishna Prasad, the confusing which state. He's from Odisha, but always he's doing things, great things in outside Odisha. Today, he's here to do bigger things, better things in Odisha. So I'll not take much of time. I'll be now requesting, start with Mr. Krishnan to all of you, briefly start with Dr. Krishnan, speak 60 seconds about who you are, what you have done so far, and then we'll start the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suha. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thanks to the government of Odisha to invite us here. My name is Krishnan. I am the regional president for Association of Biotech-Led Enterprises, and I was the regional president for Novozymes, South Asia. It's a leading Danish company. We are into industrial enzymes. I have been associated in the industrial biotech segment for now 3 decades. So all about industrial biotechnology and how it has developed in India. And our role in ABLE is predominantly to see how we can develop these segments, especially in the biotech sector all over India. And I would say that Odisha has taken the right time, especially after the pandemic, the importance of biotechnology and how it has played a very critical role from the India point of view and how we can do more. So we are here to look forward to see how we can support you all. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. Very glad to be here in the 3rd edition of Make in Odisha. Very proud to see that happening. There are very few states across India who've been making this effort, and I congratulate all of you. As a central enabler from BIRAC, we promote more footprint of biotech industries in the country. And like ABLE, ABLE is like established industries network. We create and seed industries through young entrepreneurs, startups across India. So about 5,300 plus startups have been seeded in last 10 years in the country, and many have evolved. I think we've been fortunate to have representation from quite a few. The previous panel also showed presence of 2, and many off the dais. So together, I think we can build this biotech ecosystem in the country that is all poised to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Extremely glad to be here. Friends, I am a student of agricultural sciences, food and agricultural sciences. After about 10 years in academics, I, with a few friends of mine, scientist friends of mine, happened to start a company called Metahelix Life Sciences, which was into agricultural technologies, production of improved seeds. We built it over 15 years to be one of the top ag tech companies in the country, and also with operations outside India in some of the Southeast Asian geographies. In 2016, we sold it to the Tata Group to make sure that the institution we built has got a life beyond all our lives. Post that, had a chance to found a food technology company that Mrityunjay was talking about, Kotaram Agro Foods. One of the K's in my name stands for Kotaram. The brand name of the product was Soulful. We essentially leveraged the availability of nutrition-dense millet grains in the country to develop products which actually appeal to the modern palate. We have always had those, but they were all being presented in a format which the up and coming people of the country, particularly the techies and people living in urban centers, and that, by the way, constitute about 30-35% of the population today. And we grew that that was much faster, over 5 years. And just last year, Mrityunjay, for your information, we sold it to the Tata Consumer Products Limited. So it's now Tata Soulful. It's a Tata company again. And I'm sure that will also outlast, that institution will also outlast any of us. I think one of the goals has been to build institutions which would outlast individuals. I think I'm now engaged with multiple things, including a new startup company, which is again into a different domain of agricultural technology called Staika Seeds Private Limited. Plus, I am engaged with mentoring, advising, investing with many new entrepreneurs and startups. Plus, I also work with the government. Sometimes people get confused whether I'm an academician or part of the industry. It suits me actually to be straddling both the domains. So that's me. Thank you very much.
Namaste everyone, I'm Krishna Prasad. I started my career way back in 2003 when nobody believed that biotechnology can be commercialized. Everybody thought it's more of an academic work. Thanks to the wonderful vision of Dr. Kiran Majumdar, where I was working in Biocon, it was made a reality. That was also the time when the Human Genome Project was published. And there was a statement saying that we transcend from an era of vaccine-based preventive medicine, drug-based curative medicine, to an era of predictive medicine. Drugs would no longer be based on the biology of average patient and tailor-made towards the predisposition of an individual. Then I thought maybe my great-grandson is the time who would experience such a drug coming out of gene therapy. Believe me, in 2 decades from there on, gene therapy has become a reality. So this is a high time we all catch up with the pace at which biotechnology is growing, and I will be happy to help Odisha in this direction. Over the last 20 years that I have been part of biotechnology, I have emerged more or less as a turnaround specialist in all my previous assignments. I am also working with some of the startups as a chief mentor to help them upscale their technology and their services. So I'll be glad to discuss with you in this direction as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you've heard that 4 of them, good intention, great intention to work with all of us to build the next biotech hub, Odisha. So I think I'll go because what earlier session has, they were asking questions to each panel differently. But I thought let's ask one question to 2 of them to get the difference of opinion or better advice from different people. So I start with Dr. K.K. Narayan and Dr. Manish, that how do you feel, because they've talked about pharma, biopharma, vaccines, people talking about big things. Now, Odisha is now looking at how to build agri sector more focused, industrial biotech more focused. So let's focus on agriculture, which I feel can be scaled up, which can be adaptable very quickly in Odisha. What is how do you feel Odisha can be the next destination for agriculture biotech driven companies, industries? They will come here, also you'll promote your own startup company. Start with maybe Dr. Diwan. Yeah.
I think Odisha has demonstrated evidence of entrepreneurship and startups. I remember in 2012, we had just about 6 applications for BIG, Biotech Ignition Grant from BIREC. Today, we have about 551 cumulative. And as you said that 50 of them could get benefited from the Ignition Grant to seed the startups. One startup you also saw, Nusrat, who just was in the previous panel, initiated her journey from the BIG. And there are many more who started that. There are now 2 bio-incubation centers, one in KIT and another one in ILS. Both are helping and creating a pipeline of successful startups. There is an intent from government. We are sitting in Make In Odisha uh, platform celebration. There is an intent from both, we heard from Minister Ji, Secretary, Joint Secretary, as well as there is an intent from the center to have Make in India as well as become Atmanirbhar. So I think there are several elements which are present, which can help facilitate that journey. Now, with regards to the agriculture bandwidth, more than 50% of population draws employment from India in the agriculture domain. And there are large unmet needs in the sector. Odisha, as we just heard, it is blessed with several bioresources uh, unique to this region than any other region. So I think if we build the technology capacities and quotient and nurture them over a period of time, I think agriculture is one domain where integrating with technology and the delivery can draw wonders and help the state and achieving a leadership position in a very short time. I think KK might want to add something more to this.
Thanks, Manish. I think Manish looked at it from the angle of entrepreneurship spirit in the state and also the potential for startups and employment in agriculture. I will try to address that question from a different angle. I think the state has got tremendous potential to be a major player, if not in the country, certainly in south of the country, in the domain of food and agricultural biotechnology. There's adequate amount of water and other input resources for agriculture in the state to support primary production. But that's not where I would like the state to go, because the real revenues or returns in agriculture is going to be in future and value addition. Now, the minister talked about millets. I think this is a state where diverse types of millets, which are very nutritious, which many people outside the state and outside the regions don't know about. And there's a huge opportunity for making them to fit the modern palate and modern convenience foods and the packaged foods and make a big industry out of this. There's a huge infusion of technology that is required, because some of these millets also contain certain anti-nutritional factors like phytates and stuff like that. There's a whole range of technologies. I have experience in that in running the soulful business, in trying to get rid of some of those while preserving the nutritional values. Now, I must tell, since the Secretary, Science and Technology is here and other people are also there, that agriculture is going to be a sector where there is going to be a confluence of different scientific disciplines. Agriculture is no longer what it was a few decades ago. You talk about artificial intelligence, there is an application in agriculture. You talk about drones or mechanical devices, there's an application in agriculture. You talk about recombinant DNA technologies, gene editing, huge applications in agriculture. And I believe that the state can actually lead the application of some of these technologies in this sector of food and agriculture. And for that, I think they can also take the lead in aligning some of the policies which will attract entrepreneurs and enterprises to this place. See, there's been a disconnect as far as agriculture is a concurrent subject. So there's a state policy level influence on it. There's a central policy level influence on it. And many times, some of us, if we are entrepreneurs, we are caught between what is the intent of the state, what is the stated policy of the state versus what is the stated policy of the center. Maybe you can have a workshop or something and then announce certain policy initiatives which are in concurrence or in harmony with that of the center. Because for some of the technologies like gene editing, recently there's been a policy announcement by the center where 2 types of gene editing technologies have been very clearly stated to be outside the domain of the onerous demands for GM technologies. So some of these clarifications will help remove the ambivalence, the ambiguity, and that will be a great impetus for new industries to come into the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we'll come to the policy at the end. So I think the next question to Mr. Krishnan. You've been promoting industrial biotech companies. So how do you feel that Odisha could be the next destination for industrial biotech sector?
Yeah. First and the foremost, I think there's always the feeling now in India and most of the states, how can we become a biotech hub? Because they are seeing what's happening in South, especially in Bangalore and Hyderabad. In fact, I should tell you all one information for the success of these two states or cities especially is because of the proactive steps very, very closely coordinated between the industry and the government. In fact, in Karnataka, we just celebrated the 25 years of biotech, the Biotech Summit. It is predominantly because the policies and the continuity of what has been proposed with the industry. And how this succeeded was predominantly, again, once again, the chairperson of this vision group, which was created by the government, is again Dr. Kiran Mazumdar, again a leading biotech person, the queen of biotech in India. And there, the continuity of the successive government, all the secretaries or anybody who is coming over there were motivated to say we need to continue because it attracts investment. And every government today wants to see how we can attract investment. That is where we need a proper policy. The first thing I would say is we need to have a proper policy in place. Coming to the opportunities from the government of Odisha is concerned, today, if you take biotechnology and bioprocessing or biomanufacturing, the biggest challenge or something which the industry will look forward to is the availability of water. And I would say that compared to the rest of India or any other city, Odisha definitely has an edge or probably an advantage, which you should capitalize on first. But to have that, you have to make sure that you have a policy-friendly sort of atmosphere to the existing companies over here to make sure that they are the ultimate spokesperson for this particular state. And that's where it's critically important first to make sure that we do have an industry, a representation from the industry. And of course, ABLE can also support this to make sure that such a vision group is formed. This is what will probably make a big difference. Then coming to some of the other opportunities, today you're growing, cultivating rice, you're cultivating also sugarcane. What are we doing with the rice husk or the rice straws today? It's being burnt in the field. Today we know that we are woken up in northern India with all the stubble burning, with the conversion of this agriculture residues. Today we don't see a biorefinery, for example, in Odisha. Why don't we look at that as an opportunity here to set up a facility which the government proposes and comes out with a biofuel sort of facility over here, which we can definitely attract investment. Today we have a sort of indigenous technology in India. Praj industry has technology to convert, and we can look at further investment. Oil marketing companies can look at setting up a facility over here, but the government has to facilitate that. The next one is aqua. You are number 3 in India today, but when it comes to the availability of the coastal area, it's far bigger than whether you take Andhra Pradesh or, for that matter, Calcutta. So why don't we look at that? Today, growing shrimp, while it's happening over here, this particular segment, especially processing of shrimp, is a very big opportunity for export, something which one could look at exploring this segment. So start with something with the available resources over here, which will probably attract more companies to come over here based on ease of doing business, policy, and the other things which can attract investment over here. I am positive if there is a focused effort and you involve the industry, probably things will make a big difference. ABLE have a chapter here. Today we have just recently opened it with the support of Dr. Mrityunjay and kids, and that will enable any of the challenges which the biotech segment here is facing, and we are looking forward to support in a big way to make this, of course, one among the big hubs in India. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Krishnan, very quickly, Krishnan Prasad.
Yeah. Undoubtedly, Odisha has all the elements required for perfect industrial setup. But let me give you from my example, from my experience of Bangalore, there are two T's which are very much essential to take from where we are today. One, the first T is the talent. Odisha undoubtedly has immense talent and the potential, and we really have to see how to create an atmosphere where this talent can further blossom. Because today in the industrial sector, at least, we see a resounding performance happening from the bunch of people who are from Odisha. The second important thing is to create an environment of trust. Well, in Bangalore case, if you look into it, it has been possible to do that. So here, the startup ecosystem has very well created an environment where people have started believing in that. But the question is how we can spur this momentum and take it to a level where the further trust can be created for upscaling and setting up industries here. The government today has really, in the last couple of years that I see, has joined the hands. The most important thing now is to seamlessly connect all these dots so that we can see a high level of industrial activity happening here.
Good, thank you. I think everybody is, I think some of them are making noise at the back. They want to hear from us that all of you, they know Odisha is rising and shining in many aspects. Also, now it's going to rise and shine in biotech sector. But they also want to hear from all of you in the sector of agriculture and industrial biotech. What is the growth formula? For example, I know there's no formula for that. But quickly, can you tell us the growth formula to really strengthen our, maybe two of you agricultural biotech sector, two of you in the industrial biotech sector. So anyone in the, maybe Krishna, you want to start with the growth formula very quickly, how Odisha in next 5 years can strengthen the industrial biotech sector.
Yeah, well, I would like to again come out with an example. Today, what's happening in the global scenario is they are looking for alternative protein, alternative to animal protein. So here, believe us, today the startups from US and other countries are looking at India for innovation. They are looking at manufacture in India. And especially Bangalore has quite a few startups coming over here. This is an opportunity. What is the opportunity over here? Today, for any startup, scale up is the biggest issue. Going from one level to 100 liter to the laboratory to the next level to the commercial scale of 5KL or 10KL, which is something which today the governments are not looking at this opportunity. Odisha could take the lead over here and say that we would like to invest in a scale-up facility here for setting up such a facility. And with all the infrastructure, probably it could land up to be a manufacturing hub for alternative protein, something which one could look at it. And I would repeat again from a bioenergy segment, which we are ready to give you all a sort of proposal on how you can do with the available resources over here, the wheat straw, and again, of course, you have got so much pulses and other things which are grown over here. We can probably look at making it, and this will probably give you all an edge over rest of India, wherein you have taken the lead. And this is a very big opportunity, which I'm actually supporting some of the companies from US and others for looking at where do we produce over here, where do we scale up over here, where is the innovation capabilities. India is the place. Definitely you can take the lead, and that's an opportunity I would like to recommend.
Thank you. Dr. Diman.
We
have 10 more minutes to go.
Okay. So I think one is that we wait for something to originate from within Odisha, innovate, and then develop, and then deploy at large scale. That is one way. And I think over a period of time, it's been happening, and there is a mass which is critical mass which is building up. There is another way of fast forwarding that in an inorganic way, is to create a fertile ground, attract people from outside Odisha so that they can seed in here and then bring the similar benefit immediately, and create an environment that more local talent can come, more industries can seed over a period of time. So if we do that in a mission mode, for example, as Krishnan mentioned regarding industrial biotech, panel also is considering about agri. So agri-tech and food tech, if you pick up in mission mode that 5 solutions which will be developed and deployed per year. So that will give you in essence that to attract or locally kind of nurture that and deploy it in the large scale. That's one. Another is how to bring benefit to, let's say, individual farmer. And the farmer belt is like very dispersed. You have small farmer, large farmer, and people in between. Uh, so the agri domain, if you can facilitate with, for example, technology adoption, and that state government with the help of central government can pick up maybe again in mission mode 5 to 10 solutions per year and kind of distribute and incentivize farmers to adopt them without making them spend too much of cost from their pocket. So that will enable and empower the farmer or agri sector in terms of technology deployment and then using delivering the fruits of that technology deployment in more efficiency of production as well as earning increasing the earning of individual farmer. That will empower them to actually pay back the loans without getting into the subsidy to waive of the loans in and as an outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's all about technology deployment and dissemination for the good. Thank you. I think very briefly, Dr. K.K. Narayan. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mrityunjay. To your question of what is the formula, I don't think there is just one formula. There can be formulas for success.
Formulas to be given to.
Okay, so in my view, the first formula is to play to your strength, which means leverage the natural advantages that you have, whether it be availability of water, whether it is the coastline, whether it is the fisheries sector. So that is number one. So how to leverage technology to actually make use or exploit may not be the right word, but make use of the natural advantages that you have to differentiate yourself from others. The second, I think that you need not necessarily do what somebody else has done for their success, because the situations can be different. One area which I feel, and I want to flag it off, I mentioned it briefly, is not just to focus on primary agriculture, which is production of commodities. Focus or leverage technology, particularly biotechnology, in the area of secondary agriculture. It will provide two reasons. I can provide two reasons for doing that, justifications for doing that. One is that it immediately leads to increase in farm incomes, which is also part of our national mandate or what our Prime Minister has said. And I'm sure the states also wants to, the farmer distress, if you can increase farmer incomes, many of these malnutrition and other problems can be sorted out. So it leads to equitable development. Number two, Odisha is a state with a large proportion of rural hinterlands. So it will create industries which are local to those places, which are value added, from agriculture, for your information. The potential for value addition is from 10 to 2000x. If a commodity costs X, it can multiply it by 10 to 2000x. If you buy a Starbucks coffee, you pay 80 rupees or 120 rupees for it. Only 1/2000th of that 120 rupees reaches the farmer who cultivated that coffee. We should remember that. That's the potential for value addition in agriculture. Why should we keep on producing commodities? For too long, I think we have been producing commodities. We have enough of that. We need to now make sure that these are leveraged to create more income. And that is one area that I would, so that is the other formula that I would like to suggest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have a formula very much typical to the way the corporate works. Very simple. As soon as this event is over, immediately form a task force comprising of state government, central government, public-private partnership, so people from the private group as well as the industry experts. Let's create a roadmap for next 5 years. So every time we have been talking about vision, we are talking about mission, we are talking about objectives, and then it all ends with an event like this. And then we meet next year and we talk about the same thing. Doesn't work that way.
This is very much typical to way how Bangalore has succeeded. I'm quoting again and again because in a small way, I have been a part of that big success story in Bangalore. So then we draw a roadmap for next 5 years. And this particular roadmap, let's say we jot down which are the focused areas, let's say biopharmaceuticals and the associated support systems. Let's talk about the R&D centers. Then we have the medical devices, and then we have the diagnostics, and of course all the CROs which play a big role in all that. Then what do we do and is identify areas which are avenues of quick growth. It's very, very important that we identify areas which are avenues of quick growth because everybody wants to see a success. We don't like a 3-hour movie nowadays, right? We want everything 2020. Let's identify those areas and create
T10
a
also
success
started.
story.
T10 also started.
Sorry?
Not even T20, T10
Yeah,
started.
T10 also is going to start. So let's create avenues of growth. Let's create a very small success story and let this story pull everybody towards Odisha. So what we are talking about is not just vision or objective, but very specific action plan, which are yearly targets rolled out over a period of 5 years. And then the next thing, which is very, very important, everybody talks about a single window clearance. So let's bring a concept of single window clearance, but this is not limited only for the statutory clearances. This single window clearance also has an perfect alignment with TDB, with BIRAC, where we create an incentive for companies to put up where initial funding comes from the BIRAC, from TDP, which already does for industrialization setup. We also give incentive to companies which set up here will get an access to fund for the clinical trials. So when we all work together with a single unified mindset and with the objective that we are going to achieve such results, I'm 100% sure we will see it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think a lot of things to be done here. I think, for the interest of time, now we'll open up for the questions. Maybe the same thing, 2 questions. Start with a lady here. Yeah. 2 questions very briefly, madam. From you only, yeah? One from another.
This is Jayashree Mohanty, Chairwoman, CIIWN and Member Startup Task Force. I really liked that Manish Dimanji is here and he said he has given funds to 50 startups in the state. That's wonderful. But when we talk about an objective of seeing how Orissa is vis-a-vis other startups in other states, I would like to know your experience of giving fund to these 50 startups and how have you thought about their success story to be growing over the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think a good question. Just to, there is always an apprehension that Orissa, which is in remote corner, it has less developed than compared to other mature clusters. We get to see there are about from about 551 applications received from Orissa, and out of that 49 have been supported. So roughly just about 8-9%. And that has been the national selection outcome as well. So we typically see 8-9 to 10% as a successful outcome under this. So from that standard, I think there is a lot which has been built up and which has been able to compete at the national level.
Wonderful moderating the session. I think a lot of take-home messages from this interactive discussion. The first being the decoding the growth formula to Odisha having 2 T's, talent and trust, reaching the unreached, reverse engineering, making a fertile land for startups to grow, leveraging Odisha's strength to leapfrog to the next orbit, and a very direct, let's create a task force. Let's create a task force to jot out the 5 years roadmap of Odisha. Now I request Honorable Secretary to felicitate all the experts with the memento. I request all panel experts. Thanks to all the experts who have wholeheartedly support startups, not only in bigger cities like Hyderabad, Delhi, and Bangalore, but also in tier 2 cities like Odisha and Northeast region. And as Dr. Sir always mentions, Odisha is rising and shining. Let's be a part of this revolution. It's always encouraging to hear from the experts that yes, Odisha has the ingredients, has the right ecosystem, and is on the way to be the next destination for agri and biotech innovation hub. A big round of applause to all the stakeholders who have always supported our startups. And I think, as rightly said, time is ripe. Let's create our roadmap for the next 5 years. Now I invite quickly Mr. Arunachalam from Sapigen Biologics to share their vision plan to uplift the Odisha innovation ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not concluded, so please, I just request everyone to please be seated. I request Mr. Arunachalam to come on dais and share his vision to augment the innovation entrepreneurship ecosystem of Odisha.
Good evening, one and all. I understand we're running short on time. Looks like we're ready to go. In the essence of time, I'll keep this really quick. I'm here on behalf of Sapigen Biologics Private Limited. We're setting up the first biotechnology vaccine production company in the east of India here in Bhubaneswar at the Odisha Biotech Park. It's a public-private partnership with the Science and Technology Department. Honorable Commissioner is here, and the Industries Department as well. So real quick, a lot of firsts for this facility. First time, again, on the east of India, it's going to be the largest vaccine manufacturing unit. Technology partners from across the globe, and obviously backed by the Bharat Biotech Group as well. More importantly, the facility is designed to produce 15 vaccines. It's an integrated vaccine plant. 15 vaccines, that's pretty big for any one individual company to be producing. Also, we have 3 different bases for the production. We have bacterial vaccines, we have viral vaccines, and we have yeast-based vaccines. So we'll be producing all these 3 different and 15 different products. Thanks to the Department of Science and Technology, Government of Odisha, as well as the Science and Technology Department, Government of India, for funding the project through the Technology Development Board. And we hope to be able to catalyze this industrial park, the biotech park in Bhubaneswar, with this setup of the anchor tenant facility. And we hope a lot of startups, with my friend Dr. Suvar being able to push through from the kit, we hope we'll be able to migrate them into the park and start working with a lot more startups and get the growth of biotechnology into the state. That'll be all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was, yes, there's a lot of scope for development. Now I request Dr. Shashikant Dash, Deputy Director of Biotechnology of Science and Technology Department, to propose the vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion.
So thank you is such a prayer that cannot be seen or touched. It must be felt by heart. So very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I feel honored and privileged to get this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the Science and Technology Department, Government of Odisha, to this august gathering. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheel starts rolling months in advance. We have been fortunate enough to be a part of this mega event and are gratefully indebted to our Honorable Chief Minister Sri Naveen Patnaik ji for providing such a huge platform, showcasing the untapped bioresources and investment opportunity for bioeconomy. Thanks are due to a person well acclaimed for his simplicity and wisdom and the head of our S&T family, none other than our Honorable Minister Sri Ashok Chandra Pandashar, who is always proactive in promoting science and technology of the state in national and international level. Thank you, sir. It's really a matter of pride to have with us 10 renowned personalities, pioneers in the field of biotechnology. Without them, the success story of this biotech session could have been incomplete. Thank you all for your esteemed speakers for making our session a memorable one. The outcome of your deliberations will definitely help us to prepare the future roadmap of the biotechnology in the state. We are blessed to have with us today a galaxy of special invitees and delegates. Those are the real stakeholders who can take leads in developing the biotech ecosystem in the state. Thank you all for accepting our request to join hands with us, propelling Odisha into a future hub of biotechnology. We are really thankful to the organizations extended their support in investing biotech sectors of Odisha and a number of MOUs being signed and exchanged on this auspicious day. Expecting you all to be a driving force in creating the business ecosystem in biotech. Thank you very much for your support. When you have a partner to share your load in all difficult and challenging situations, you feel very happy and relaxed. We are really thankful to our knowledge partner, BCKIC, and their whole team for putting all efforts to make this function a grand success. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the whole team of Industry Department, EPICAL, FICCI, OTDC, and many other organizations, those who are providing timely technical and logistic support for hassle-free event management. I also like to thank our media partner, OdishaLIVE, for developing the wonderful documentary on emerging landscape of biotechnology in Odisha and capturing the beautiful moments of the whole conclave. My thanks are also due to all the media persons, both electronic and print, for wider coverage of the biotech section. I cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and the willingness they have expressed to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. Thank you very much, our DST team, under the able leadership of our Secretary Shah. If time is money, then today you have spent millions for us. Thank you all for your making this event a great success. Thank you all once again. Jai Hind, Bande Utkal Janani.
Thank you all. I just request all panel members to come together. Let's capture this moment. I think we have come to an end, and let's conclude this.